Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and wherever you are today. Thank you for joining Usapang Pinoy. In a few minutes, we are going to talk about what it is like to live in Australia. Ano ba ang buhay Pinoy sa Australia? We know our situation today doesn't allow us to travel freely. Today, only Australian citizens and permanent residents are allowed to enter Australia. But here's the good thing. Whether you are just interested to know what sites to visit or your petition to migrate, the tips from our resource speakers will be valuable for all of you. I'm Faye Ruga from the Commission on Filipinos Overseas, and I'll be one of your hosts for today's afternoon live streaming program. So, this year is 2021 and it's the third month of 2021. So, specifically March. So, can any one of you guess what women are celebrating this month? Sa mga viewers natin dyan, for sure meron po kayong iniisip sa utak nyo kung ano pang sineselebrate ng mga kababaihan ngayon. Well, it's International Women's Month. So remember, mga kababaihan natin, girls, friends, sis, mga best, ladies, and madams, it's our time every March. So tayo po ang bida. Pero sana, let's remind ourselves, sana every day tayo ang bida. Here's a request from our program. Can the viewers please write message or note your mothers, your wife, or wives, or isa lang, fiancé, girlfriend, friends, or best friends? Yung mga friend na gusto niyo ng sulatan na matagal na pero hindi niyo mapasalamatan, this is your chance. Just use our hashtag, saludo ako kay nanay, saludo ako sa iyo wife, saludo ako sa iyo friend, and saludo ako sa iyo my one and only. And before the program ends, we will be reading some of the messages and notes in the comment section below ng Facebook Live ng CFO Facebook page. So this is because we love our women in our life, especially yung mga maalis at nagtatrabaho sa ibang bansa o yung nakatira sa ibang bansa. Okay. So the most important thing is the event today. So what's in it for you today? So why watch nga naman, di ba? Bakit kailangan mong manood? If you are traveling to Australia on the coming weeks in the future, please prepare your pen and paper or take a picture using your tablet or your camera. If you want to take pictures, go ahead. For the next 25 minutes, we will be giving you information of the Commission on Filipinos Pre-Departure Orientation Seminar and Guidance and Counseling Program, travel tips, and for those who is going to Victoria, we will be having a live interview with the Managing Director of the Australian Community Service. She will be discussing what services they provide for arriving migrants. So malalaman niyo yan mamaya. Abangan niyo si Managing Director of the Australian Community Service. So for our viewers, Facebook Live viewers, if you have questions, just place it in our chat box and leave your comment here. Comment down below kung meron kayong questions, gusto niyo yung sagot. We will be reading some of them later. After the news, we will have 3 segments for Ozapang Pinoy. So that's 1, honeymoon stage segment, number 2, adjustment stage segment, and number 3, settlement stage segment. So for the news, dilipat ko na po ang aking screen to my colleague, Alan. Let's listen to Alan. Hi, Alan.
Good day. Good day, Faye.
Good day, Alan. Hello.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
You look good tonight.
Thank you. You too. Let's go to the CFO, of course, for Australia.
All right. So here's a quick news update. The Commission on Filipinos would like to remind all Filipino permanent residents who will be migrating to Australia for the first time that they are required to register and acquire the CFO temporary certificate or e-certificate and or the original CFO registration sticker and or the CFO guidance and counseling certificate before they will be allowed by the Philippine Bureau of Immigration to leave our country. Please take a look at your screen right now. If you are sponsored by your Filipino spouse, parents, and Australian citizen children, please register using the link on your screen. On the other hand, if you are a Filipino spouse or partner of foreign national or an Australian citizen, please register using the link on your screen. And for more inquiries, please email us at info@cfo.gov.ph. On the other news, the Department of Health, through its Migrant Health Unit, reminded all Filipinos who are traveling during this time of pandemic to practice the BIDA solution. More from Minerva Basile's report.
Traveling locally, internationally, or even just going outside of our home is one of our favorite pastime pre-COVID. Availing of seat sales, taking selfies in different places, and buying pasalubongs are some of the things we normally do when we travel. But when COVID-19 started, the new normal in traveling, whether by land, sea, air, or just simply hanging out with family and friends, now includes wearing face masks, face shields, and bringing alcohol or hand sanitizers. In an interview with Dr. Joel Benaventura, Chief Health Program Officer of the Department of Health's Migrant Health Unit, he reminded that the best way to protect ourselves when traveling is to practice the BIDA solution.
We basically advocate for our BIDA solution. So these are the minimum public health standards that each Filipino, whether you are migrating or you are here in the Philippines, that you would have to observe. So BIDA stands for bawal ang walang mask. So it promotes basically wearing of masks and face shields. And I stands for isanitize ang kamay, which is mainly our advocacy for hand washing, frequent hand washing. D stands for dumistansya ng isang metro, which is the physical distancing of 1 meter and above. And A is alamin ang tamang informasyon. So this is actually our tagline in terms of being the solution. So be the solution para po sa ating mga Filipinos who are traveling not just here but also traveling abroad. So we basically advocate the be the solution as minimum public health standards for everyone. Maybe related to this as well, we try to protect the Filipinos traveling abroad by monitoring the and licensing the clinics and the laboratories, which are usually it's required for Filipinos traveling abroad to have the what they call the RT-PCR test. So the Department of Health, through our Health Facility Services Regulatory Bureau, is monitoring the compliance of our laboratories in terms of the testing standards for RT-PCR tests.
In relation to the RT-PCR test mentioned by Dr. Benaventura a while ago, we would like to inform all travelers going to Australia that you are required to present a negative RT-PCR test results upon checking at the airport prior to your departure. The test must be conducted 72 hours or less prior to your scheduled departure time of your flight. For more information, please visit the Department of Health website of the Australian government. And now, We would like to know how our kababayan or Filipino kababayans in Australia have been doing today. To give us an update, we are pleased to have with us the Managing Director of Australian Filipino Community Services, Miss Norminda Forteza. Good afternoon, ma'am. Or should I say
Good
good evening?
afternoon.
It's nice to
Good
see you
afternoon
again,
sa iyo.
Norminda.
Thank you, Alan. It's always a pleasure.
All right. So I would like to ask a few questions, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay. So what advice can you give to Filipino immigrants who will be traveling to Australia while the pandemic is still going on?
Well, that's a big question kasi nga alam natin na very few can travel here, no? First, we have to follow the rules set by the Australian government. Unang-una yon. Pangalawa, we have to keep an open mind na anything can change. So we have to follow your be the solution, but also be the solution sa Australia. This Australia, we also follow that. Pero alam mo, gusto kong pagbalikan tanaw yung aking experience nung ako'y dumating sa Australia. Ang natatandaan ko, I brought a bag full of memories. Yun ang aking source of strength kasi I'm arriving in a new country eh. So isa sa mga source of strength ko yan. Pangalawa, I had a heart full of faith and great expectation. By faith, I'm believing this is the good plan for me by God and all my family and myself. So I have to trust and believe that what I'm doing is right and be open to the opportunities that will come on my way. But also be brave and assert myself that I will use my skills to interact in the new country that I'm going to embrace.
Thank you. What a wonderful experience you have there, no? So importante sa ating mga kababayan that have to be prepared when arriving to another country, no? They do some research and be adaptable to different circumstances. As a follow-up question, how important are Filipino migrant support networks in these trying times since the pandemic?
It is very important in Australia, especially I'm from Victoria, so you can see there our slides. We have a few services. Unahin ko sa migrant support. Meron kami kasi pandemic, meron kami social support and material support sa mga international students, saka mga newly arrived na na-stuck dito. Dahil pandemic, nagbigay kami ng cash donation, grocery support, travel vouchers, even pharmacy vouchers. Paano na nakuha ang information na yan? Nasa website namin. It's very important as a newly arrived migrant, you have the telephone numbers na ibibigay ng CFO tungkol sa AFCS at nasa website naman yan. Kailangan isusulat natin yan at matatandaan natin. Kung kailangan nyo ng tulong, tatawag lang kayo sa amin. Ang social support network ay importante. Bibigyan kayo ng lakas ng loob. Saan ba nakukuha yung social support natin? Kahit yung ating mga Filipino stores dito sa Australia, nakakapagbigay ng kaluguran, nakakapagbigay ng advice ang mga kapwa Pilipino na masasalumuhan natin sa market at sa mga shops na may mga Pilipino. Kailangan din natin itong contact natin sa radyo, sa telebisyon, at saka sa newspaper ng mga Pilipino. Yan ay very, very good source of information. Dito sa Victoria, meron tayong Philippine Times na periodiko. Doon naman sa Sydney, meron silang Philippine Herald. Talagang ito ay tested and proven na source of information. Ang AFCS ay meron ding radio station na digitally active dahil sa pandemic. Ang tawag ay AFCS Kalingang Pinoy. At ang host namin ay si Eric Maliwat na dating Far East Broadcasting Company broadcaster for many years. Kami pinagpala na siya ay nakakatulong bilang volunteer yan. Kasi hindi pa rin citizen si Eric eh. Pero alam na alam niya at gamay na gamay niya ang mga pagluha at ang mga triumphs ng ating newly arrived. So andyan dyan ang aming pagdadial ninyo, 98.5 FM sa Sydney at streaming din sa www.radio200.com.au. Every Saturday kami dyan. 6:30 sa Adelaide, 5:30 sa Darwin at 4 p.m. sa Perth. Pero dito sa Sydney at Melbourne, 7 p.m. kami. So it's all about communication sa mga newly arrived. Kaya yung mga telepono at saka website, importante yon. At kami naman ay umaagapay. Alam mo, Alan, kapag tumawag kayo sa amin, sabihin mo na stuck kami dyan sa airport, tatakbuhin kita. Padadalang kita ng Uber. Yung Uber na natin ngayon. Alam mo, nung
Yeah,
araw
that's
walang Uber
nice.
eh. Di ba?
That's nice.
I will do that. We will do that for you. So,
Alright.
lakasan natin ang loob natin. And then find the number that you need to ring for support. Nandyan kami. Nakaagapay kami.
Alright. So as you can see now, AFCS is really active in helping Filipinos, immigrants in Australia. So get in touch with them once you arrive. For my last question, Norminda, can you tell us some of the AFCS programs that our Filipino kababayans in Victoria can avail of?
Unang-una, unahin ko international students, meron kami ngayong bagong serbisyo sa kanila. Yun nga, isa grocery support, free meals on Saturday sa restaurant dito sa Melbourne. At pangatlo, meron kaming volunteer opportunity for them para to prepare them sa ating workforce sa Australia, sa Melbourne. Free lahat ito. Pangalawa, meron kaming serbisyo sa mga bagong dating, yung kanilang job searching. Nire-refer namin sila. Wala kami ganung direct program, but ang aming bagong employment consultant ay isang Pilipino na newly arrived. Kaya meron tayong advocate sa labor market. Yeah, yun ay sa pagkawang-gawa ng isa naming kaibigan na dati naming employment advocate. Siya ay ngayon ay manager na. At talagang naman yung skill niya galing sa overseas. Dinala dito, maraming Pilipino ang nagkakatrabaho. Tawag lang kayo sa amin. Pangatlo, yung mga ating isolated na seniors. Alam mo, maraming in the 90s, di ba? Maraming lolo't lola pumunta rito para mag-alaga ng mga apo. Yeah, nag-retire sila. Sabi dito ako sa Australia mag-retire. Na marami sa kanila, nasa 70 and 80, nalulungkot sila. 80% of our services ay kumakalinga sa ating mga lolo't lola. Kami nagbibigay pugay sa kanilang mga kagandahang loob. Meron kaming transport support, sinusundo namin sila. During pandemic, nagbigay kami ng grocery support. They don't have to go anywhere. We come to them, we deliver on their door, and then we say, hello po, kamusta po kayo? At hindi sila nangangamba. Ganon din, meron kaming wellness calls. Kailangan, din natin alam kung nalulungkot na ba sila o nag-iisa sila o anong nangyayari. Marami kaming volunteers, mga social worker, mga Pilipino na nurses. Nagbo-volunteer, tumatawag kay lolo't lola. Araw-araw yan. Walang tigil yan. No? Hindi naman kami 24/7, Monday to Friday lang. Subalit, naka-tune in kami. Meron din kaming mga wellness activities. Lalo na dun sa mga talaga kailangan nilang we have to move. Kaya lang, if we don't move, we lose it. So may activities kami, gardening, exercise, meron din kami karaoke, meron kami online singing noong pandemic. Ngayon, out of pandemic, okay na kami. Nakakalabas na. Outing naman.
Alright, so marami palang pwedeng i-avail yung ating mga kababayan na services from AFCS, no? And it's good to hear that our Filipino aged citizens are well taken care of by AFCS.
Oh, yes. They're pampered.
All right. So thank you very much, Miss Norminda Fortesa, for your sharing your information. This ends my one-on-one interview with Miss Fortesa, the Managing Director of AFCS, or Australian Filipino Community Services. Thank you for joining us, and please stay with us as we still have more information to share with you. We'll just have to we'll just have a short infomercial break.
Salamat.
Thank you. Pag-ibig ko sa'yo'y wagas, hindi magwawakas. Buhay ko man ay lumipas, landas ko sa'yo patungo. My girl, ikaw lang ang mahal ko, paniwalaan ako. My girl, kung wala sa piling ko, paano na ako? Oh, darling, you are the one for me, and there could never be a girl who's waiting just for me. Pangako sa'yo, di kita iiwan. Mahal walang hangganan, magpakailan pa man, magpakailan pa man, magpakailan pa man.
Howdy. Good day, everyone. Good day, mate. Magandang araw sa lahat ng ating mga kababayan dyan. I would like to welcome all our viewers to Ozapang Pinoy, a live broadcast with a talk show format for Filipino immigrants to Australia. Per the Commission on Filipinos Overseas records, as of 2018, Australia is the top 4 destination country of Filipino immigrants after USA, Canada, and Japan. There are Filipinos who consider Australia as one of the best options for their second home, where attractive opportunities is awaiting, benefits, and lifestyle-wise. More than 150,000 Filipinos bound for Australia have undergone the CFO's pre-departure seminar programs in the past 40 years. Under the new normal operations of the CFO, webinars and other online activities are conducted to provide information not only for Filipino immigrants, but also to prospective immigrants even before they decide to settle in Australia. Ozapang Pinoy will walk you through the stages of permanent migration, preparations, settlements, and adjustments. This activity will feature our overseas Filipinos from Australia who will share their triumphs in overcoming their struggles living outside their home country. Practical tips on what to prepare before you travel, settlement concerns such as looking for your home, job, and school for your children, budgeting to adjustments to new environment in terms of culture, language, and lifestyle are just some of the topics for our discussion. As the government advocates for safe migration, the CFO likewise prepares you for your journey to the land down under. We want this to be an interactive activity, so I encourage you to post your questions, share your experiences, and let us know your thoughts about this webinar. We would gladly hear them all. Our deepest gratitude to our resource speakers, Ms. Norminda Forteza, Patrick and Jonibel Sarate, Alvin and Jennifer Bermejo, and most especially, my bosom buddy, my drinking mate and barkada, my compadre Raul Panlilio. Mabuhay ka, padre. So, sit back and relax. Have a round of kupa with Bixis and enjoy the Arvo with Ozapang Pinoy. Cheers! Maraming salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat. May our good Lord bless us all always.
Good afternoon, Philippines. Or let us say good evening, Australia. Welcome to Ozapang Pinoy. This time we'll be talking about Ozapang Pinoy Part 1 or the honeymoon stage. What does it mean? When you live abroad, it means transitioning to a new environment that is more often than not completely different from your own. Generally, newcomers trying to adapt to the new surroundings struggles with culture shock and other socially related issues. It has 3 stages. The first stage is the honeymoon stage. The second stage is what we call the adjustment stage. And the last stage is the settlement stage. Under the honeymoon stage, or let's say tourist stage, there is an anticipation of new opportunities, and you are constantly pleased by new things encountered. To enlighten us about the honeymoon stage segment, let us watch first a short video of our guests Patrick and Jonabel Sarate.
Dito.
Nag-decide basta kami na mag-asikaso ng mid ng 2012.
Oo.
Namin yung mga step-by-step na ginawa namin, okay? Tapos yun nga, based to sa experience namin, hindi namin sinasabi na ito pa din yung magandang gawin
Oo,
ngayon, pero ito yung ginawa namin.
Okay. Step number 1. Game.
Okay, yung first namin is nag-search kami based sa experience niya kasi siya yung main applicant. Kasi IT siya. So, yung skills niya yung ginamit namin. Tapos, based dun sa kasi maraming nomination, occupation
Yun ang
yung
tinatawag
mga IT.
na SOL o Skilled Occupation List. Kumbaga, isa siyang list ng mga occupation. Doon mo hanapin kung saan ka sa swak. Halimbawa ako, sumuwak ako nun sa software engineer. May code yun na something.
Lalagyan na lang namin dyan.
Yung may code. Tapos,
Kasi,
based dun sa code na yun, malalaman mo kung sino yung assessing agency.
tapos yung experience niya na nakalagay nandun mismo sa software engineer.
Kaya
So,
nga,
yun yung
oo.
ginamit namin. Decide kami na kami yung mag-a-apply without any agency
Tama.
through online. Next na ginawa namin is nag-gather na kami ng mga documents. Siyempre yung basic documents na birth certificates namin lahat.
Oo, yung
Marriage certificate.
transcript of record,
Yes.
yung galing sa school, ano pa, diploma, mga ganun.
Mga ganun. Tapos, NBI.
NBI,
Yung
pati
sa
yung...
Pinas, ang kinuha lang namin is sa Philippines kasi hindi pa namin alam kung ano yung process sa Singapore. So, ang ginawa namin is yung sa Pinas lang muna. Tapos, yung mga documents ko din, documents nung elders namin. Ang next namin ginawa is nag-IELTS siya. So, yung IELTS nung time namin, nasa 300 Singapore dollars. Tapos, medyo, siya, confident. So, hindi na siya
Kulang.
Alright. What a nice video. Hi, Patrick and Jonabel.
Hello, kumusta kayo, Faye? Alan, kumusta?
Good
We're
afternoon,
good.
Patrick and Beth.
Natawa naman ako dun sa video, hindi ko na-expect.
We enjoyed it.
That's nice. That's good. That's good.
You know, Alan, super lucky natin na nasama natin tong dalawa today. Kasi nakita ko nga yung isa niyang video na yon. Very, very informative. Thank you, Patrick and Belle, no?
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Super informative. Plus, nakita ko pa yung mga comments doon. Talaga nag-reach out yung dalawa para dun sa mga gustong humingi ng tulong. Pero now, Patrick and Belle, this is your chance. Dito naman tayo sa Facebook Live, mag-share ng ating experiences. Ano kaya game na. What advice po kaya ang mabibigay nyo dun sa mga mag-a-arrive sa Australia for the first time? Importante po ba ang mag-set ng goals and expectations? Patrick?
Sige, game. Ako, yung advice ko talaga, and sana something na ginawa natin, no? The day or the night before nung flight nyo, try to record yourself o kaya sumulat kayo ng diary explaining yung lahat ng thoughts na nasa isip nyo. Halimbawa, bakit mo ginagawa to? Or ano yung feelings mo? Yung mga pinagdaanan mo, yung mga rejections, mga pinagkakautangan mo, all the things that led you to that point, i-capture mo yun para at least down the line, may babalikan ka. Halimbawa, kung napofrustrate ka kasi hindi ka nakakapaghanap ng trabaho o kaya may trouble sa marriage nyo o kaya kung ano man na trials, may babalikan kang point sa buhay mo na i-remind ka na ay okay pala parang I've already won. So anything beyond that is already a bonus. Kaya and it puts everything into perspective kumbaga. So yun lang yun. Try nyo gawin yun. Kumbaga kasi hindi nyo na yung mababalikan yung moment yung high feeling. So try nyo i-capture yun para at least meron kang babalikan down the line anytime kung kailangan mo ng konting inspiration kung nalulungkot ka. Tapos naman dun sa sa follow-up question mo regarding setting your expectations. Definitely kailangan mo i-set mo ano ba yung expected mong mangyari sa buhay mo. Pero dito kasi yung pumunta kami dito, expected namin na hindi naman lahat parang ibibigay na lang sa amin parang wholeheartedly in a silver platter. Kailangan pa rin mag-put ng effort to make it happen. So, yes, maraming opportunity dito sa Australia and yung government tutulungan ka where they can. However, kailangan pa rin yung effort mo sa sarili mo para at least mag-succeed ka. Parang, again, pwede kang mag-sitting pretty na lang and mag-antay ng benefits from the government. Pero, bakit ka pa pumunta dito, di ba? So, again, set your expectation, put in the hard work.
Like in addition to what he said, kasi yung goals and expectation, yun yung nagbigay sa amin yung parang focus and direction ng magsisimula pa lang kami. So, I highly suggest siguro yung goals nyo, isulat nyo, tapos be specific and as much as possible put a time frame. Sa case namin, before coming here, nagsulat kami ng mga things na kailangan namin, yung mga important things na kailangan namin gawin. Kagaya ng, kunyari, yung pag-open nyo ng bank accounts, pagkuha nyo ng tax file number, yung paghanap nyo ng school para sa mga bata, pag-apply nyo ng mga government grants and benefits. Yung mga ganung bagay, as much as possible, isulat nyo para, alam nyo, hindi nyo makalimutan. And for expectation, not too high. Kasi, syempre, Philippines will be like much different from like Australia, lalo in terms of support system. Kung wala kaya, kasi mostly nakikilala namin. So, walang relatives, walang kakilala. Pero they survive kasi meron na maganda naman yung Filipino community.
Yung support network dito, no?
Yeah. Naalala ko before coming here, meron kaming website na laging visit, yung Pinoy.info. So, kung may access kayo ng internet, check nyo lahat ng info nandun. Hindi lang para sa mga migrant, kundi kahit sa students. And sa Facebook din, maraming group na, kunyari, Filipinos in Australia, Filipinos in Queensland, Filipinos in Brisbane. So check it out and then you can ask questions.
Maraming avenue na to ask for help unlike 20 years ago. Yes. So this time of
Maswerte sila kasi marami ng access ng info.
Yeah. In this age, parang well-connected na lahat ng tao. So, mag-post ka lang ng question, I'm sure makakahanap ka ng forum, ng support
Like in
group.
YouTube, you can check it.
Oo.
Ang daming videos.
Yeah.
Also, i-check nyo rin yung YouTube channel nila Patrick and Belle. Nakita ko yun. Pinlog ko na, no? Thank you, Patrick and Belle. I like what you said po about writing down expectations, no? Tsaka yung not to set to unattainable goals kasi tama din naman na huwag tayong, expectations, I mean, na mag-expect lang masyado. Kasi, although nasa hard work naman po kasi talaga yun. Madaming benefits dito sa Philippines din, madami din benefits sa Australia. It's in the hard work. Also, syempre yung mga tayo, no? Patrick and Belle, yung mga tao. Pag hindi natin na-focus yung bagay, hindi talaga mawawala talaga, aalis tayo sa focus. So, writing down expectations and goals, yung mababalikan mo once na successful ka na or once na nada-down ka is really good para ma-inspire tayo. Especially yung mga nabanggit ni Belle kanina, opening banks, TFN, applying for government benefits, and yung schooling ng bata. And also, yung kung saan titira and yung mga dadaling importante.
Yan, tama yan, Faye. Ako natuwa ako doon sa sinabi ni Johnny Bell about the checklist, no? Parang may checklist ka, kung na-achieve mo na isang goal, then check it out. Then another goal, di ba? So goal setting is really important. Ngayon, iba ko lang usapan, kasi as a former PDOS officer, no? Nagko-conduct ako ng seminar. This is the most common question na tinatanong ng mga client namin bago sila umalis. I believe meron kayong tip na maibibigay. Ang tanong kasi nila, what should they pack to bring to Australia? Yan yung madalas na tinatanong How about you, Patrick? What's your idea on this one?
Sige, I'll let Belle answer the question. Pero sa akin lang, sa standpoint ko, you only need one big luggage. Nung pumunta kami dito, tatlo lang, no?
Yes.
Tatlong malalaking luggage lang. Tapos ngayon, hindi na kami makakalipat. Ang dami na namin na-accumulate through the years. Pero dun sa mga importanteng items na kailangan yung dalhin.
Yeah, because sa damit, I advise na i-check nyo yung weather para at least appropriate yung dadalhin yung damit. Especially kasi iba-iba din yung weather per state. So, check nyo din yun. Tapos kasi kung hindi naman kayo mapili, marami din ditong ukay-ukay. So, kahit saan.
Order.
Maraming ukay. So, kung hindi kayo mapili, marami talagang affordable na mabibili dito.
May mga thrift shop dito. Kung kailangan mo ng winter clothes, $1, $2, may makukuha. Kaya, bring yung basic necessities lang talaga, no?
Ang pinaka-importante, huwag nyo kalimutan yung mga documents niyo, especially yung children's immunization. Kasi part siya ng requirements sa school at mga child care center. Tapos, siguro kung may gusto kayong dalhin ng mga Pinoy stuff or foods, just check if you can bring it. Like, just check. Kasi kung hindi, yun, mahal yung bayan.
Check kung allowed. At the same time, kung allowed siya, kailangan yung i-declare.
Yes.
Kasi kung hindi nyo i-declare, mapafine kayo. So, yeah. Na-experience namin yun, kaya make sure na babasahin nyo.
Sana wala nang
So, thank you for that tip, no? So, guys, kung kayo yung pupunta ng Australia, binigyan na kayo ng tip. Travel light, sabi nga ni Patrick.
Yeah, travel light.
Kasi you will accumulate things later on.
Exactly,
staying in Australia. And then, of course, yung mga, before you bring Filipino food or any stuff from the Philippines, make sure that you declare it. Sabi nga ni Jonabel. Okay? So, Faye, you still have more questions for them?
Kasi nabanggit ni Belle kanina yung bring important things like immunization records for the requirements of the kids sa school. So ito, follow-up ko na rin yung question, Belle and Patrick. How do you register your children for school in Australia? What are the school documents na kailangan dalhin?
Okay, wala kaming idea for private schools. Kasi yung panganay namin, nag-aaral siya sa public school. State school ang tawag nila dito. So, dito kasi may sinasabing school catchment. Kung yung home address niyo pasok dun sa school catchment, automatic pwede yung i-enroll yung bata. So, yung requirements naman na hiningi sa amin is yung birth certificate ng bata, yung passport, yung immunization records, tapos yung copy ng visa nyo, tapos yung home address nyo. So, pwede kayo magbigay ng copy of lease, yung rental lease nyo, or yung mga utility bills. Tapos, yun, kung may previous record sa school, dalhin nyo na rin para pasiguro. Tapos, kung yung anak nyo kasi, actually, yung state school dito, free lahat. Ang babayaran nyo lang yung uniforms at yung school supplies. And kung yung bata naman, 5 years old below, ibig sabihin, hindi pa siya school age, pwede nyo siyang ipasok sa child care center. Roughly, mga $100 a day per child. So, kami doon ang ginawa namin, hindi na muna ako nag-aral para ako na muna yung mag-alaga sa bata. Siya na muna yung work. Tapos ngayon na lang namin pinasok yung bunso namin kasi yun, nag-work na rin naman ako. So, nasa inyo yun kung i-weigh nyo kung mas mapapamura ba kayo kung i-child care o mas mapapamahal. So, depende sa situation.
Ako, since topic yung school, no, gusto ko lang mag-add ng few pointers. Unlike sa Pilipinas na schools, di ba ang school natin sa Pilipinas usually starts from 7 ends at 5. Dito, it starts from 9 ends at 3. So, 6 hours na yun per day. So, you need to make an arrangement for before and after school care kasi wala naman dito, hindi naman uso dito yung nanny, di ba? So, kailangan mong ipasok sila sa before and after school care. Obviously, kung nagtatrabaho kayong mag-asawa, kailangan nyo magbayad doon. Tapos, yung mga bata, kailangan i-accompany papuntang school. Hindi pwedeng yung papabayaan mo na lang maglakad. Kasi very strict sila especially sa mga young kids. Dapat talaga accompanied sila. Hindi nga sila pwedeng maiwan sa bahay. There's a certain age lang kung kailan mo pwedeng maiwan ang bata sa bahay. So, very strict sila sa ganung mga policy. So, kailangan basahin nyo yung action din. Saka, yung mga state school dito or yung mga government school, secular sila. In other words, hindi sila religion-based. Very neutral sila sa religion. So if you're very particular sa religion, meron naman mga private schools like yung mga Catholic, mga Anglican, mga Presbyterian. Obviously, you have to pay extra para doon. Kaya, saka yung mga schools dito, ang focus nila yung sa mga main subjects talaga, yung English, Math, Science, Sports. Wala sila yung mga extracurricular activities unlike sa Pilipinas. Kasi nga, well, ang focus nila,
yung
major subjects lang. Kaya nga, yung school hours is from 9 to 3 lang talaga. Tapos, yun, part ng
the school holidays. Ang dami ditong school holidays, so you need to arrange kung sino mag-aalaga.
Oh, okay. Usually, mga parents dito, nagli-leave sila kung kailan school holidays naman. Kasi nga, wala mapag-iiwanan yung mga bata.
Yeah, so every quarter, meron dito at least 2 weeks. Tapos December to January,
yun ang pinakamahabang ang school holiday. From early December going to early Feb.
Yeah.
So you have to plan for that.
Yeah.
Yun yung window kung saan nag-holiday pumupunta kung saan yung pamilya kasi nga tina-timing nila sa school holiday.
I think
Tapos ano pa ba?
they are using it to take part-time jobs, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Oo, dito yung mga as early as siguro mga 16 years old, makikita mo sila nagtatrabaho sa McDonald's, sa mga
puro mga students.
Sila dito, maagang ina-expose yung mga estudyante sa responsibility. Para din talaga ma-shape yung future nila. Saka one last tip lang. Ang tawag nila sa kantin dito, tuck shop. Kaya huwag kayong mabigla. So ano yung tuck shop? Kahit ako siguro mga 5 years ko bago ko na-realize na kantin pala yun. Anyway, that's it.
Australian slang.
Yes.
So, ayun, i-reiterate ko lang yung sinabi ni Bel kasi super important, no? And for enrollment, child's birth certificate, passport, copy of visa, proof of residency, like current lease agreement, utility bills, immunization records, and details of your child's previous education. Nakakatuwa yung education po sa Australia kasi kailangan very, very hands-on ka. Tapos, tuturuan pang independent yung mga bata.
Yeah.
I think, Faye, they cannot afford there to hire a nanny or a babysitter kasi medyo mahal.
Tama yan.
Kaya talaga
hands-on talaga.
Hands-on talaga lahat. Yeah.
So, meron ka pa po bang question, Alan?
I think I have one more for Bant again.
Okay.
How to find a place to live in Australia? Kasi saan ang best location to live when you are just starting out?
It all depends sa budget mo. So, syempre, di ba, pagpasok mo pala sa Australia, a huge chunk of it goes to yung sa rental expenses unless may kapamilya ka dito na pwede mong matiran. So, again, yung sinabi niya kanina, yung school dito or yung lugar kung saan ka titira, doon ka lang limited, kumbaga, doon may isasad yung mga yung
catchment or district.
Correct.
Catchment or district. Yeah.
So again, ang payo ko, live where you can afford it. May mga naririnig akong story from others na ini-stretch nila yung budget nila para makapunta doon sa magandang suburb, para maganda din yung school. Ako naman kasi, sa amin naman kasi, iba yung basis ko eh. Produkto ako ng mababang paralan ng Sabang. Kaya anything outside of that, okay ako. So kahit saan ako, okay ako. I mean, state school naman siya, government funded. It follows a certain curriculum. Okay na ako doon. Depende din yung sa pamilya talaga kung ano yung priority nila. Pero sa akin talaga, live where you can afford it. Yun ang main thing. Okay.
Depende sa situation. Katulad namin kasi, dahil may tita ako sa Brisbane, dito namin pinili. Tapos yung nag-search din kami ng mga possible jobs niya. Marami ditong IT company. So, yun, nag-decide kami dito. Pero may mga nakikilala kami na walang kapamilya. So, mostly sinesearch nila kung saan maraming opportunity para sa trabaho nila. So, yun, depende sa situation.
Okay. So, wow, that's a full load of information for our kababayans going to Australia. So, I hope you're listening, guys. You're jotting notes, no? So, doon po sa mga may anak, no? Sabi nga ni Patrick, hands-on ng mga parents and walang kasambahay or yaya, no? So, you had to take care of your own children. And
you need to be ready for that.
Yes. And make sure to check ang catchment or district para sa mga school ng mga bata, no? And with regards to the place to stay in Australia, well, sabi ni Patrick nga, it depends on your current situation, no? So kung gusto natin na medyo hindi masyadong mataas ang cost of living, you better stay away from the cities, no? Maraming lugar like kayo po ay sa Brisbane, if I'm not mistaken, no?
Opo.
Yes, you're in Brisbane, yeah. So yun yung maganda ron, ano? So you can choose depending on your situation. Now, before we end this segment for Patrick and Jonabel, any final words before we conclude this segment?
Sige, final words. Sige. Sa akin naman, you can plan all you want, but at the end of the day, yung 'di ba, ang situation nagbabago-bago, so we need to be very flexible and to be able to adapt into the situation. Ako naman kasi siguro sa amin naman, and we always go with this kumbaga motto in life. We came from a third world country living in a first world country. So keep your wants and needs intact. Kumbaga, kung nagpapasaya sa iyo, cornic, kumbaga, just keep it there. At the same time, ma-reap mo yung benefits of living abroad kasi nga, obviously, yung pay is higher, but at the same time, yung wants mo, madaling na fulfill. Kasi nga, you're from a third world country. Mabilis kang nasasatisfy sa mga bagay-bagay. So, keep your wants in check. Make sure na hindi siya, kumbaga, nag-elevate as you kind of like elevate your standing in your career. So keep it in check. Yun lang ang mapapayo ko.
Sa akin naman, naniniwala ako dun sa kasabihan na difficult roads often leads to beautiful destinations. So 8 years ago, like we're first-time parents migrating to Australia with a 6-month-old baby. So it was hard. It was really hard. But looking back now, like it's all worth it. We won't appreciate what we have right now if we didn't experience it all. So to all migrating soon, congratulations. Good luck and enjoy the
Enjoy. And again, remember that day one.
Yeah.
You need to come back to that every time para just to, keep everything in perspective.
Yes.
Nanalo na kayo, just keep pushing hard. Everything else, bonus na lang yun. Kaya good luck.
Yes.
Ha?
All right. Okay.
Thank you for sharing with us your experiences. Meron po ba tayong emoji dyan, Director? Bigyan natin sila ng care emoji.
Let's give them an emoji.
Emoji. Yon.
Oh, wow.
Salamat.
Thank you very much.
Salamat.
Thank you for sharing with us your
All the
experiences
best.
po.
Sige, salamat Alan. Faye, salamat. All the best. Bye-bye.
We hope to see you again here in our show. We'll be back after this short break. Don't change your channel.
Hi, my name is Catherine Reyes. I'm 25 years old. Been in Australia for almost 4 years. Ang expectation ko lang dito sa Australia is konti lang. Like, magandang tirhan, maganda magsimula, tapos malinis yung kapaligiran, tsaka tahimik. Like, yun lang yung in-expect sa Australia. Didn't expect anything. And then, September 2017 nung una akong dumating dito. Like, tumira ako sa papa ko kasama yung family niya. Pero after a year, nag-decide na rin ako na humanap ng sarili kong titirahan. So, ang naging malaking challenge lang sa akin talaga dito is yung language barrier. Like, nahirapan akong intindihin yung Australian English nila kasi dahil sa mga slang words at bibilis nilang magsalita. Tapos, una kong naging work dito is bilang admin staff at bookkeeper sa AFCS, which is a community service, like community center. And then, nakatulong yung exposure ko sa mga kawork ko saka sa mga tao na namimit ko sa para matutunan unti-unti yung mga slang words ng mga Australians. Tapos, aside from language barrier, punta dito sa Australia ay maganda silang aralin yung Australian English, which is their slang words, para kapag dumating sila dito, hindi sila mahirapang mag-adjust sa language. And tapos, about sa transpo naman, kailangan mo lang talagang magtiyaga, bumiyahe sa una, tapos kapag nakaipon ka, mabilis ka na lang din makakuha ng, makaipon ng pera para makabili ng sasakyan. Sa totoo lang, ang daming opportunities dito sa Australia. Talagang kailangan mo lang ng lakas ng loob, sipag at tiyaga. Kailangan mo lang din talaga lumaban para sa mga pangarap na gusto mo makamit sa buhay. Yun lang. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nikki Velez, 26 years old, and I've been living in Melbourne for about a year and a half now. I arrived in Australia last October 2019, and my first challenge was converting my physiotherapy license to Australian standards. I was very anxious with regards to completing some of the requirements needed for my license, such as the English exam. Obviously, English was only my second language, so it was hard for me to express myself fully to native Australians. I overcame this anxiety by befriending most of my Australian coworkers in order for me to practice my English. My advice to my fellow Filipinos is that they shouldn't be afraid to speak English even if they are not fluent.
Welcome to the third edition of CFO Connect. This is Pauline Pascual. Living in a foreign country can be a very challenging experience. Every migrant experiences various difficulties in adjustments, especially the youth. One common problem that youth migrants experience is the language barrier. Language, as we all know, is the most important tool of communication. It plays a vital role in helping people build a bridge of relationships. Many times, non-English speaking students do not get the same educational opportunities as their English-speaking peers. This lack of language equality in schools causes these children to be unsuccessful in their education. Due to language barriers and cultural differences, some youth migrants experience bullying among peers. Bullying is recognized globally as a serious problem. It violates young people's basic human right to be respected and safe. So, how do youth migrants overcome language barriers and bullying? All language barriers in schools or in everyday life are challenging, but overcoming them is possible by applying a positive mindset. First, improve your proficiency. The best thing you can do is actively practice in your spare time to improve your vocabulary and grammar. Second, when learning a foreign language, do not be too focused on vocabulary and grammar. You also need to understand the cultural differences between your mother tongue and your target language. Third, when dealing with language barriers, you should always keep in mind that words are not the only method of communication. You can also convey meaning with your hands, facial expressions, and body language. Lastly, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Most barriers can be overcome simply by trying and not being afraid to make mistakes. So here's some tips on how to overcome bullying. First, don't suffer in silence. Tell someone what is going on and together make a plan of action. Second, prioritize feeling better. Third, exercise and socialize. Fourth, keep a supportive network around you. And lastly, talk to your doctor if you need professional support.
Good afternoon and welcome back to our Ozapang Pinoy Part 2, Adjustment Stage segment. For those of you who have just joined us, if you have questions or messages, please just write it in our chat box or comment down below. We will read some of them later. Okay, Alan, what do we have for our next segment?
Yes, Faye. Earlier, Patrick and Jonabel Sarate stressed the need to have a life purpose before one migrates to Australia. For this segment, we are going to talk about the adjustment stage. What does it mean? This refers to the time of adjustment of immigrants as they discover the difference between the culture, language, laws, and tradition of their home country and their host country. Our guest for this segment will help us and learn more on the adjustment stage. Let's watch first a short video of our guests, Mr. Alvin Lustre and Miss Jennifer Bermejo.
Good
Hi.
afternoon.
Good
Yes,
Arvo.
hello. Hello
Alvin
sa
and
inyo.
Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Welcome to
Thank you
Usapang
po.
Pinoy po. Opo. Nagutom kami, sir, sa pinakitang video.
Sarap
Sir,
po.
baka meron pong pa-deliver naman
Wala
dyan.
tinapay.
Ang cute po, sir, no? So, nakita namin, meron po pala kayong Alvin's Creation. So, speaking of meron kayong work, sir, no?
May full-time job pa rin kami.
So, yun. Sir, baka naman po may bread kayo dyan. So, ayun, sir. Speaking of work po, so mga migrants, sir, na nasa Australia na, for example lang po, for 2 months, tapos familiar na sila sa getting to the market, bringing their children, and going to school, ganyan. Para naman, sir, yung magsa-start sila mag-work. Since na-mention nyo, mayroon po kayong full-time job, ano kaya yung ipe-prepare nila for their first day of work, Sir Alvin?
Ako, ang masasabi ko lang, ang natatandaan ko talagang ginawa ko dun sa first day ko, number 1, pagising ko ng umaga, nag-pray muna ako kay Lord, na Lord, gabayan mo ako sa unang araw ko na to, dahil alam ko, once nalagpasan ko tong unang araw na to, siguro after kahit yung susunod na 20 years, kaya ko na. Kailangan lang malagpasan yung first day. Yan. Kaya, sabi ko nga, doon sa pagsisimula ko sa bago kong trabaho rito, magsisimula ako from zero ulit. Kung ano ko noon dati pa, wala na yon. Back to zero na. So, attitude. Yun lang yung kailangan mong baunin sa first day mo is dapat meron kang positive attitude. Pagdating mo sa trabaho, marami kang makakasalamuha, may mga Pilipino, may ibang lahi. Kailangan mo ng positive attitude at respect. I-respect mo lahat ng makakasama mo, makakasalamuha mo at babalik din sa iyo 'yon. Dahil sabi nga nila, 'di ba, hindi mo naman maihingi yung respeto eh. Ibibigay nila sa iyo 'yon. Pero dapat sa iyo manggaling.
Tama, no?
Tama.
I like that. Stay positive. Pero wag sa COVID, sir, wag sa COVID.
Saka isang natutunan ko rin kahit nung nasa Pilipinas pa ako, na hanggang sa umidad ako, tinuruan ko na yung sarili ko na yung sinasabi nilang dapat meron kang teachable heart. Kasi every day is a learning day. So although marami ka nang alam, sa darating na araw na to, meron ka pa rin matututunan. At yung magtuturo sa'yo, maaring mas bata sa'yo o mas matanda sa'yo, pero talagang may matututunan ka pa rin sa araw na yon. So, kailangan mo yun. Pagdating mo rito, sa unang araw mo, kailangan yung puso mo handa na mag-absorb ulit ng mga bagong kaalaman.
Ma'am Jennifer, kayo po. Ano pong ma-advise nyo for your first day of work ng mga Filipino migrants natin?
Yun lang po, yung pong ma-advise ko, you have to focus po sa mga task na ibibigay sa inyo, tapos always be positive attitude nga, sabi nga po ni Alvin, tapos learning po is every day. So, meron po kami natutunan from the previous work na hindi po namin na-apply dito kasi nga po iba po yung process nila or something. So yun po yung pinaka the best po na ano po ng pag-a-adjust sa first day ng work, no? Tapos be on your best, like dapat presentable ka, being professional, hindi po dapat na-late sa work. That's po yung number 1 po lagi namin goal ni Alvin, hindi po kami pwedeng na-late kahit sa usapan or sa work. Doon po kasi doon nakikita na yung ano mo yung dedication mo sa work. Tapos as a Pilipino po kasi talaga 'di ba po very tayo dedicated sa work. Tapos madali naman tayong matuto, 'di ba? Tapos po yun pong laging always positive attitude. Yeah.
Saka yun nga, yung pagiging personal.
Yeah. Don't be so, minsan po kasi tayong mga Pilipino medyo sensitive, 'di ba po ba? 'Di ba po?
Oh,
So,
balat
yung
sibuyas.
being personal po, talagang minsan tayo medyo laging konti lang, na-hurt na kagad, nakikimkim ng galit eh.
Walang ganun
Wala
dapat.
pong ganun dito. Everybody po yung halimbawa, na-correct po kayo. So, take lang po ng positive lang po na to grow yung ano niyo po, personality. So, yun po.
Pagkatapos nun, that's
Wala
it.
na po.
Wala na, hindi dapat
Ba't yun na
kinikimkim.
ulit?
Sir Alvin, parang very professional sila, di ba? Yeah,
Yes
Oo,
po,
professional
very
sila.
professional po.
Ganun
So
po
hindi
talaga.
pwede guys yung mga balat sibuyas ano.
Yun,
Yes po,
number
number one.
Oh, sensitive,
mahirapan,
no?
pag ganun po ang attitude natin dito, mahirapan po tayo mag-cope up.
Po.
Yeah. So, what a good advice from you too, no? So, sa mga pupuntang kababayan natin sa Australia, always remember yung sinabi nila, no? Na sa first day, no, dapat ito yung malagpasan mo. Kasi pag nalagpasan mo, sabi nga ni Sir Alvin, the rest will be okay na, no? Smooth sailing na. At natandaan ko sinabi ni Sir Alvin, maganda dyan, he starts the day by asking guidance sa ating Diyos. Yan.
Yes po.
Yan, tama
Yes
yun,
po.
no? Start with the prayer. And sabi nga doon, no, dapat on the first day, sabi naman ni Jennifer, ay dapat hindi ka late. Yan. Kaya mga kababayan, pupunta ng Australia, iwanan na po natin yung Filipino time. Ano?
Filipino time.
Kasi hindi uso yan sa Australia, no? They are
Di ba?
really professional.
Big no-no po yan.
Totoo po. And then, totoo din po, sir, yung binanggit doon na, nakasabihan na first impressions last.
Tama.
Kaya we had to start it good at the first day of work. Tama po ba,
Yes.
sir?
Yes
Tama po yan,
po
sir.
Okay.
Tama
So,
po.
with follow-up question with regards to work, no? First day of work, sabi niyo kanina, tinanong ni Faye. So, what are the difficulties that you encounter during your first job? Itong gusto kong malaman, sir. And how did you overcome it, no? And kindly describe to our viewers the work environment or culture of Australia.
Yun nga po. Sa akin, ang talagang nangyari sa akin na siguro nangyari din siguro sa iba po. Kasi dun sa previous job ko po, medyo nagsusupervise, nagmamanage po tayo ng tao. So pagdating mo rito, tulad nga sabi ko, back to zero ka, di ba? So yung ego ba? Yung ego problem kadalasan nating mga Pilipino, pag nadala mo dito, yun yun yung parang bakal na humihila sa iyo eh. Dapat wala yon. Totally kalimutan mo na yon at mag-move forward ka na hindi ka na kung ano ka dati. Back to zero tayo dito. Mag-start all over tayo. Kasi hindi yung kumbaga hindi ka nagiging productive. May mga nakikita akong mga tao na hindi naging productive sila kasi nga dahil dun sa naging problema na yon. Which is sa akin sa based on experience ko, kaya ako napadali, napagaang yung buhay dahil nireset ko kagad yung mindset ko na kung ano ako dati, that's gone. Back to zero, kung ano pinagagawa sa iyo rito, sundin mo lang.
Yan.
Meron ka sigurong naiisip na ibang way, pero this is their way. And that is the way. Minsan, yun yung mahirap. Hindi. Ito yung way eh. Dapat ganito. Doon nagkakaroon ng conflict. Which is napakahirap kapag may ganun sa trabaho. So, yun lang yung may advice ko. Dapat kung may ganun man kayong nararamdaman, at karamihan sa atin, dahil pagdating natin dito, mga competent tayo, mga ahit tayo sa kanila eh. Pagdating sa diskartihan. Kaya lang nga, yun nga sabi ko, yung way natin, hindi yun yung way dito. So matuto ka munang sundin yung way dito, saka saka natin pag-usapan yung ibang way na naisip mo pa.
Nice advice. How about si Jen po?
So, bali po yung sa question po na yung how to describe po ay yung pong working environment po, no? So, yung Australia po is a multicultural diversity po. So, bali iba-ibang lahi din po yun nandito. So, magugulat na lang po kayo, mayroong taga-India, mayroong taga Sri Lankan, meron taga Philippines. So marami pong iba't ibang lahi po. So ang Australia po is very particular sa ano po, yung sa treat each other, even yung race, religion po, and then yung ethnicity. Tapos every men and women po are treated equally po. So
Equal talaga
equal
dito.
po lahat.
Wala, babae ka.
You cannot, halimbawa babae ka, ito lang yung trabaho mo, magaan lang. So hindi po yun. Either you're a man or a woman po. So equal po lahat yan. So yun po yung ano. Tapos just ano po, yung respect po sa each and everyone po na yung beliefs nila. So respect lang po yun.
Respeto po natin yun kasi kung mapapansin nyo, dito, meron pa rin talagang mga tao na dala nila yung religion nila. Tulad sabi nga kanina ni Pat, secular dito, walang official religion. So you have to respect that. Kung ano man yung sinusuot nila, may mababae may takip, di ba? May mga lalaki naman may suot na headgear pa.
Yes po.
So, irerespeto natin yung dito. Hindi mo pwede yung pagtawanan o bakit mo suot yan, nasa trabaho ka na, no? Nirerespeto dito yun. At yun ang dapat nating susundin talaga rin para maging healthy yung work environment natin. Dahil yun talaga yung culture, saka yun yung ano talaga ng environment nila rito sa trabaho po.
Tama po. Napakagandang ano po nun, mga points, no? Respetuhin natin sila, yung mga kasama natin. Hindi lang po ito sa Australia, no? Yung in-advise ni Sir Alvin, tsaka ni Miss Jen, yung respect, humility, at yung in general, yung pakikisama sa iba't ibang lahi, iba't ibang religion. Respetuhin natin yung mga belief nila. Applicable po yan sa lahat ng migranteng Pilipino na pupunta sa iba't ibang lugar. Dapat nasa puso at isip po natin yun na once na misstep tayo sa isang bansa kung saan tayo permanenteng maninirahan, respetuhin natin sila para respetuhin din tayo at mag-stay humble tayo at all times. And syempre, as sabi nga ni Alvin at ni Jen, always put God first in the morning, early.
Yes.
In the morning, pagkaanin pa lang, dapat sikat na. Magpapasalamat ka kasi nakatapa ka sa bansang to kung nasaan ka ngayon. Yun.
Yes.
So, at dahil dyan, meron po tayong nakitang question from our FB viewers, Alvin and Jen. So, from Carlo, what are the basic requirements in applying for a job in Australia? Yan po yung tanong ng isa nating viewer. Sino pong sasagot, Ma'am Jennifer?
Ako na lang po yung sasagot. So yung pong, kasi po ako po yung, ano po ni Alvin, no? So ako po yung naghanap ng work, nagpunta po kami dito. So yung una pong kailangan na po, ano po natin is yung contact number. So you have to have your contact number po, kukuha po kayo sa any service ng pong mga provider. Tapos yung sumunod po is you have to ready your TFN or tax file number. You can go through po with online na lang naman din po lahat ngayon. So it's very easy for the newly na nag-a-apply po dito. Tapos bank details po, very important. Kasi yan po yung mga una nilang hinahanap, TFN, bank details, and then email address. Email address po. Tapos yung visa din po.
Kailangan ng copy ng visa.
Din po ng copy ng visa, passport po, and
copy
then
ng passport, driver's license.
Yeah.
Yung
pang mga bagong dating po, yung driver's license from the Philippines po, pwede po nating i-drive dito. Di ba? Pwede pa pong i-drive. But, inire-required pa rin po ng government na you can convert po yun sa Australian license po. Yes.
Yung nagdagdag ko lang.
I believe, sir,
yun nga yung bank.
Sige.
Yes,
go ahead.
Yun nga. Isa sa pinaka-importante nga doon yung bank account details mo. So, kailangan mong mag-visit sa isang kung ano yung choice mong bangko, i-open mo na yon. Plus, dito kasi meron kaming benefits na tinatawag na superannuation, separate pa yon. Ang starting na binabayad ng employer mo is 9.5% ng salary mo, babayaran nyo ng employer mo sa separate account na tinatawag namin superannuation account. So, nasa sa'yo na yun kung ang gagamitin mong superannuation account, yung account ng company mo, or yung choice mo. Pwede rin naman yung choice mo. Katulad namin, nung nag-open kami ng account, kumuha kami ng choice namin na superannuation account.
So, sir, doon bali pino-forward yung superannuation nyo sa inyong bank account?
Oo, dun sa
It's not the
separate
company.
account na yun. At tip nga pala, kasi marami nagkakamali pagdating dun sa pagpipirmang bank account saka superannuation account, yung yung sweldo, yung salary account, yung salary niya na dapat papasok sa bank account ang nailalagay superannuation account. No, yun. Hindi mo na makukuha yun.
Very careful.
Be very careful na pag sinulat mo yung details mo para dun sa sweldo mo, ang ibibigay mo is yung bank account, not your superannuation account.
So, kumbaga, separate po yung salary account doon
Separate.
sa superannuation account. Yes.
Separate
Yung
po
kanina,
yun.
gusto ko i-follow up kanina sa inyo po, Alvin, yung nabanggit nyo kasi driver's license, no? I believe iba ang manner of driving dyan. Parang left-hand drive yata sila, a right-hand drive.
Sa Pinas po tayo dyan sa atin, left-hand drive, dito hand drive.
Yan.
Parang
So, siguro,
medyo mag-a-adjust lang po ng konti. So, ako po kasi, medyo matagal na ako nagda-drive. So, pagdating dito, konting adjustment lang. Siguro, a week, okay na po ako. Si Jen, medyo, nag-enroll pa siya ng driving lessons. Yun din. Suggest ko rin dun sa mga bagong darating, palibasa nga, right-hand drive. Meron naman tayong mga kababayan dito na driving instructor. So, mag-lesson lang sila kung hindi sila ganun ka-confident na mag-drive agad. Siguro 1 or 2 times lang. Maximum 3 times lang kung matagal na rin sila nagda-drive para lang maano nila yung mga rules sa daan.
Yeah.
Kasi naiba nga yung inuupuan mo eh.
Saka I think, sir, very strict sila dyan sa traffic rules, di ba?
Po, yes, po. Napakaigpit po. Kaya sumusunod po.
Sa atin kasi sumusunod po, ibang interpretation natin sa stoplight, di ba? Pagka green, go. Pagka yellow, go faster. Red stop. Dapat iwanan po natin yan. Di ba sa Pilipinas?
Dito ba maraming sundalong nakatayo sa mga stoplight. Yung tawag namin, camera, sundalong bigla na lang flashbang parating na lang yung file mo sa bahay.
Tama. Okay, so with regards po sa another question po, meron kasi tayong question sa FB, no? Nabasa ni Faye yung kanina. I think there's a question from Christian Castillo. Nakita niyo siguro sa screen, no? Ang tanong niya is, mabilis po bang makaipon sa Australia? Pero siguro, I will rephrase the question. Kasi ako, I'm an OFW din dati. I work in Saudi Arabia for 4 years, way back then. At alam naman natin na kaya tayo nangingibang bansa is one reason is for greener pasture, di ba? So, alam natin na mas malaki ang kikitain talaga when you go abroad compared to working here in the Philippines. Kaya siguro, I will rephrase the question ni Christian na mabilis po bang makaipon sa Australia? Siguro, mas magandang question dyan is, paano ba tayo makakatipid by having savings and budgeting? Kailangan po ba yan sa isang newly arrived migrant? Yung marunong silang mag-save at mag-budget?
Yan po. Tungkol naman sa financial being ng katulad natin magmamigrate dito, no? Napaka-importante po ng savings at budgeting. Kung sa Pilipinas, medyo sanay tayo ng madalas tayong kumakain sa labas, siguro pag bagong dating ka rito, talagang i-minimize mo na. Siguro kung once, sa akin, kung bago talaga, siguro I suggest, kung talagang kailangan din talaga, siguro once every fortnight lang. Kung talaga medyo maluwag, siguro once every week, once a week. Pero hanggat mami-minimize, sana i-minimize na lang muna hanggat nagsisimula. Lutong bahay muna tayo, mas masarap naman. Pag namili ka naman dito, sariwa karne, sariwa gulay. So, tapos yung pa yung bonding time nyo rin pag nagluluto kayo ng asawa mo o ng anak mo. So, mas maganda yung kain muna tayo sa bahay na lang muna. Minimize na lang muna natin kain sa labas. Tapos, pangalawa, siguro, ito, ano lang, makikiraan lang sa ibang kababayan natin. Pero sa akin din, ang suggestion ko lang is, kung ma-avoid mong bumili ng bagong kotse, mag second hand na lang muna tayo. At kung siguro talagang maluwag na, nakakagaan ka na, nakakapondo na talaga, saan mo na lang palitan? Iwas mo na tayo sa brand yung sasakyan dahil medyo nakaka-apekto ng malaki sa budgeting mo yan. Pangatlo is yung tinatawag kong gadget trap, na kapag na-trap ka na doon, mahirap na lumabas. Yung every time na may lalabas na bagong gadget, na may new release, papalitan mo na yung sa'yo. Luma na to, 1 year na. Palitan ko na nung bagong lumabas, may new release na eh. Laptop, ganun din. Tablet, cellphone. Pag na-trap na tayo doon, ang hirap na lumabas. So, kung sa simula pa lang maiiwasan natin yon, pagtyagaan muna natin. Siguro naman nung pumunta tayo, yung telepono mo from Philippines, talagang maganda yan eh. Dahil alam ko, ang Pilipino, kahit kami noon sa Pinas, dapat maganda yung phone mo. At least yung nag-hold ka ng data na maganda. So pagdating dito, kung yung mandala mo, gumagana naman dito, okay na yun. Siguro kahit hanggang 2-3 taon mo pang gamitin, gatbay pa. Gamitin mo pa rin kasi napaka-importante na nakakapag-ipon ka dahil may time na darating sa'yo na may makakasalubong kang opportunity at kung wala kang naitabi, mamimiss out mo yung opportunity na yung malamang. Hindi, imbis na nasis mo sana, na-grab mo, wala kang naipon, medyo na iba yung focus mo pagdating sa financial well-being mo, mamimiss mo yung opportunity.
Sayang, nakalagpas, sir, no?
Opo.
True po.
Opo. Ayun, kaya naman, ang ganda ng mga advices ni ni Alvin, tsaka ni Jen, no, sa budgeting, tsaka sa saving. And that is why they were able na magpundar ng Alvin's Creation. Nakapundar sila ng Alvin's Creation. Kung doon po sa mga naka-watch kanina, yun po yung sumasayaw-sayaw si Alvin at si Jen habang gumagawa ng bread.
Habang gumagawa ng tinapay.
Opo. So,
yung bonding
share
time.
Yun yung bonding time.
After work.
Na-mention din ni Alvin na magluto sa bahay para din sa bonding. Kaya, share nyo naman, Alvin and Jen, paano kayo nakapag-save and nakapag-budget para dun sa Alvin's Creation. Last year, sa pandemic ito na tayo, tama po?
Oo. Sige, share ko muna paano nagsimula. Kasi, yun eh, hindi, kumbaga, siguro unexpected, bigay lang ni Lord talaga rin sa amin. Nag-start yun nung last May 2020. Nag-request lang tong daughter ko. Sabi niya, Dad, lockdown. Ba't hindi ka naman gumawa ng mga tinapay na nakikita namin ginagawa mo sa barko nung nagbabarko ka? Sabi ko, sige na nga. Nung isang weekend na yan, gumawa ako. Nag-try ako. Natikman nila. Nagulat siya. Sabi, nagustuhan ng mga bata. Sabi na, ang sarap naman ito. Ba't hindi ka gumagawa nito? Ang lambot-lambot. Ang sarap-sarap kasi ensimada yung ginawa ko.
Wow, ang sarap.
Yan, yung nagsimula lang kami sa isang bread, yung ensimada nga, classic ensimada namin. Tapos sabi niya, ay, picturean ko to. Sabi niya, picturean ko, tapos ipopost ko sa FB. Yung pagka-post niya sa FB na yan, ang dami na nagtanong. Sabi niya, oy, ano yan, paano kami makakabili niyan? Ganyan, ganyan. Sabi niya, benta natin. Sabi niya, sige, ikaw bahala. Ikaw mag-ano ng social media. Di ako gagawa. Ayun, kaya naggawa kami ng every day, another variety. Hanggang sa, ayan, dumami na ng dumami. Tapos, nagsimula na nga silang umorder sa online. Tapos, ang ginawa namin, yung mga sales namin na yon, hindi namin ginagalaw yun. Bukod sa namimili kami ng every week ng supplies namin, lahat ng sales, kung ano man income, tinatabi lang namin. Kasi sabi ko, bibili tayo ng gamit. Nagsimula lang kami sa isang maliit na mixer na ang capacity lang 1 kilo. Dahil doon sa naipon namin, nakabili ko ng capacity ngayon is 12 kilo. So bumilis yung production ko, bumili kami ng paalsahan ko, bumili kami ng mga trolleys, mga trays. All galing doon sa pagse-save namin na yon sa kayong pagbabudget. Dahil hindi namin ginagastos. Kung ano man yung naiipon na yon, nandun lang, binabalik ulit namin sa business hanggang sa lumaki siya ng lumaki. Pero hanggang ngayon, home base lang muna kami pa. In God's will, siguro soon, magkakaroon kami ng sarili naming shop.
Yan. So, guys, yung mga pupunta ng Australia, no? So, nakita niyo yung importance ng saving and budgeting, no? It worked for Alvin and Jenny. So, nakapundar sila ng maliit na negosyo that will be also an additional income sa kanilang part. So, mahalaga talaga na matuto tayo mag-budget. Kaya gaya ng sabi ni Alvin, wag muna tayong ma-hook up dun sa mga trend ngayon, sa mga gadget. No? We can still use our own gadget, no? Hindi pa naman luma, para makasave tayo for more important things. No? Just like kamukha nga yan, naging blessing sa kanila yung kanilang bakery. And for our viewers, no, bigyan ko lang ng background. Si Alvin kasi ay chef po siya sa barko. At nag-work din doon, nagkataon si Jenny. Kaya nga nakita niyo yung title natin sa kanila is From Shipmate to Soulmate. Yan.
Yes po.
So,
Yes.
so in this segment, no, we learned the importance of finding work, and we heard some tips from our guest couple, no, how important is the first impression, first day of work. We also learned some tips from practicing savings and budgeting. And actually, we are truly blessed to have you on the show. And I'm sure our audience learned a lot from your personal experience. So now for our final statement, no, we would like to request that you do it creatively. Yan. Lahat kasi ng aming guests, hinihinga namin ng final statement eh. So for you, Alvin and Jen, we want to do we request to do it creatively. So since it's Women's Month, di ba, nabanggit ni Faye kanina to in the beginning of the show, and given the years of your journey together, no, I will ask Alvin, no, what song can you think of that best describes your life journey with Jennifer as you journey together from shipmate to soulmate?
Ano yan eh. Yun yung ano nga ba? Yung siguro masasabi ko yung Lady ni Kenny Rogers.
Wow. Magandang kanta yan. Magandang kanta yan, Alvin. So, with that, pwede bang mag-request na kantahan mo naman kami ng few lines?
May sayo, sir.
Ako, sir, makalaglag ano yan. Binibigay yan, sir.
For Jen po, for Jen. Since it's Women's Month.
Yo, may sample. Si Alvin.
My love, there's so many ways I want to say I love you. Let me hold you in my arms forevermore. You have gone and made me such a fool. I'm so lost in your love, and now we belong together. Won't you believe in my song? Lady, you're lovely, and beside me is where I want you to be. And my love, there's something I want you to know. You're the love of my life. You're my lady.
Thank you very much. Sweet naman. Okay.
Ang galing, ang galing, sir, di ba?
Kinikilig si Jen.
Ay, hindi na.
Oh. Ako, may surprise pa pala.
Ako siya.
Nako.
Iyo naman.
Wow,
Diba?
sweet naman.
May flowers pa. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Hindi niya alam yun eh.
Sir Paula. Sir Alan Hey,
Surprise po yan. Okay.
kayo may pa-surprise kayo
Hindi niya alam eh.
Ayan, daming ano.
Alam yan.
Emojis, no?
So, ano pong message nyo, Alvin, kay Jennifer? This is your
Ano lang,
chance.
continue lang magpasensya ka. Sa gandang lalaki ko. Ay, sorry, sa kakulitan ko. Siguro, bumabalik na sa pagkabata. Nagiging makulit na. But I'm very blessed to have her on my side for our life here in Australia. I cannot do it without her. Siya yung kasama ko talagang sa hirap, sa simula namin dito, talagang naglalakad lang kami from doon sa nirerentahan namin, papunta sa trabaho namin. 40 degrees, 41 degrees dahil heat wave ng December. Dumating kasi kami dito ng November, December, naglalakad pa rin kami, wala kaming sasakyan. Kinabukasan, umuulan naman. Sabi ko, wala kaming dalang payong. So, pumasok kami, ang suot namin kapote, garbage bag. Binutasan ko lang garbage bag, sinuot ko yung ulo ko, lakad ako. Tapos lakad kami, tapos yung mga tao, yung mga nagdadrive, nakatingin sa amin. At siya papunta sa kaliwa, ako papunta sa kanan, dahil pag ganun yung trabaho namin. Siguro sabi, ano ba itong mga to, homeless? Ba't naglalakad, naka-garbage bag? Those were the days na naisip ko, sabi ko, Lord, ikaw yung nagdala sa amin dito, alam ko, one day, papaalala mo sa amin tong araw na to, na ganito kami, pero ngayon, eto na kami. And that is because of Jen also, kaya na-survive namin yon. Hindi ko kaya yun na mag-isa lang. With God's guidance talaga. Siya yung nagdala sa amin dito. Eto kami ngayon. Very blessed.
Super blessed po kayo. Meron naman po kaya kayong message para sa ating mga Facebook viewers?
Yeah.
Message.
Yun lang. Pagdating nyo rito sa Australia, kalimutan na natin kung sino tayo noon. We start all over again. Make sure na si Lord yung hinihingan nyo ng tulong, hindi kung sino-sino lang. At siya talaga yung magbibigay ng tao naman na tutulong sa inyo rito. At huwag kayong mangingiming humingi ng assistance. Kung may nakita kayong mga kababayan nyo, magtanong kayo kung ano yung mga challenges nyo, baka may maitulong sa inyo. Huwag kayong yung iniisip natin, ay nakakaya. Wala nang ganun dito. Pagdating dito, pantay-pantay ang lahat ng tao. So, lumapit ka, magtanong ka, sasagutin ka niyan, tutulungan ka niyan. Ganun ang ugali ng mga Pilipino. Kaya, huwag kayong mahiya. Kung na-feel nyo na na-challenge kayo or may konting problema, lapit lang kayo. Kahit nga hindi Pilipino, kahit sa kapitbahay nyo lang, tutulungan kayo niyan.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much po sa message nyo at sa kanta nyo po para kay...
Thank you.
May love team daw. May balitang love team eh. Aljen.
Yo, Aljen, na iba na pala.
Thank you.
Pinasaya niyo po ako, sir. Thank you po.
Sana po natuwa ka, Jen.
Kaya natuwa po, sobrang na-surprise din po ako kasi hindi ko po nakita tong flower sa bahay eh.
Nakatago. Nakatago eh.
So, thank you again, Alvin and Jen, for sharing with us your experiences po. And we hope to see you again here in our show.
Yes po, salamat po.
So, yung sobrang nagustuhan po yung performance ni Sir Alvin at gusto pa ng another performance, mag-emoji lang po kayo sa Facebook page natin. Heart, react, and like react. Yan. Tulad po na nakikita yung screen. Ay, pala. Yan. So, we'll be back after this short video. Don't change channel.
Welcome to the second part of CFO Connect. This is Pauline Pascual. Did you know that the most common problem every migrant experiences is culture shock? Culture shock happens when an individual leaves the comfort of their home and goes to a completely foreign country. Here are a few tips on how to adjust to life in Australia. First, understand and accept that adjusting takes time. Acknowledging that you were experiencing culture shock is the first step to overcoming it. Second, join community groups and be open to meeting new people. It will give you the best opportunity to learn more about Australian culture. And lastly, stay connected and communicate regularly with your family and friends back home. Did you know that most Filipino immigrants have easily adopted because of Australia's culture of mateship? Plus, there's over 300,000 of Filipinos in Australia. Australia and the Philippines share a wide and deep relationship connected by the similar values of mateship and bayanihan. The Filipino ideal of bayanihan, which means working together as a community to achieve a common goal, is similar to the Australian tradition of mateship, which means friendship, solidarity, and working together. It is definitely not easy dealing with culture shock, but it is important to know that there are people always available to help you.
Good afternoon, Philippines, and good evening, Australia. As we near the end of our webinar, we would like to thank you for watching us via Facebook Live. Earlier, we've announced that we'll be reading your messages to women of your life since it's Women's Month. Now, as a token of our appreciation for those who hasn't sent your message, it's your chance to be one of the 3 winners, no? Send us your thank you messages for your mother, your wife, your girlfriend in celebration of Women's Month. Use our hashtag saludo ako sa iyo nanay, saludo ako sa iyo wife, and let us give the women in our life a snappy salute through all their sacrifices. Also, please answer our online evaluation. And please let us know how we can improve our show. If you want to participate in our future program, like our resource speaker, please send us an email to our director, Ms. Ivy Miraballes, at miraballesiv@gmail.com. Now, we will proceed to our last segment, the settlement stage. In this stage, migrants are already well adjusted and living comfortably in their host countries. They have already adopted the culture and social norms of the host country. Our last guest, Mr. Raul Panlilio, will enlighten us of this segment. Let us watch first a short video. Good evening, Raul.
Good evening,
Yeah.
Alan. Nice to
Welcome to
see you.
Ozapang. Yeah, welcome to Ozapang Pinoy Part 3, the settlement stage. So,
Yes.
I hope you don't mind. We will be asking a few questions with
No,
regard to
please
your
go
settlement.
ahead. I
Yeah.
hope I can help you.
All
Please
right.
go
So,
ahead.
I will be asking questions with regard to your settlement in Australia. By the
Yeah,
way, how many years are you staying in Australia?
we've been here 17, maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure, but
All right.
I've been asking my wife and my son, and some say 16, some say 20. I think 17 from when we first arrived.
Okay, so that's a really long time. So with
Yeah, yeah,
regards,
yeah, yeah. Long.
yeah, with regard to that, my question is, what is the most significant change that you had to adapt to during your first year in migrating to Australia?
Yeah, before I go ahead, I just want to say Bell and Patrick and Alvin and Jen, they've given a lot of information. It's very, very good. I wish them all well wherever they are, and our fellow migrants. Yeah, and thanks to you guys for getting in touch with me to be part of the show. Anyway, this most significant change. There was so
Yes.
many. There were just so many, Alan. Um, oh, when I first came here, the first initial change, it was a shock. It was deciding to leave home, right, Manila, to start somewhere else and start anew. Like um, what Albin was saying. You come to a country so foreign and unfamiliar, and with your family. And when I left, I was 42 years old already then. Um, I had my wife, my son, and my daughter with me. So they were very scary times. Just the initial shock really it started in the Philippines when it dawned on us that I had to go, and do something else overseas because I didn't make it in the Philippines, sadly enough. Um, my wife, oh, it was hard. It was hard to see my family sad and, if you will, probably suffering. My wife she gave up the most. She had all her families and friends, and she's very, very Filipina. All of her is Filipina. Everything about the Philippines about her. So it was very, very difficult. Difficult. She didn't want to leave. It was very difficult to her to up and go. My son was 16, and he had this barkada, yung mga barkada niya, no? Tsaka maraming girlfriend yun eh. So, so it was also very difficult for him to leave. But my daughter was 6, and everything was fine for her. It was just an adventure for her as long as we were together. The young can bear a lot more trials or struggles or challenges. Uh, which is good. That's why the youth is the future of our country, right? Of everywhere. Anyway, yeah. In adapting,
Yeah.
the culture is number one, and then of course everything that comes with it, like climates and lifestyle and food and religion and language. It's been said, earlier on. So I'm just
Okay.
adding to what they've
Yeah.
told us. But
Okay.
yeah,
So
a
you
lot of
you
things, a
you
lot of things, Alan.
yeah, you made a lot of sacrifices and changes, no, in your settlement
Yeah.
in settlement in Australia. So
Yes.
let's talk about Raul about your adaptation. No, let's break it
Mm,
down. No, in terms, for
yeah.
example, of lifestyle. Can you say something
Yes.
about lifestyle?
Okay. Everything's different. First of all, you gotta understand that we're coming from a tropical country, yeah, and then you come to a country with so many different weather. Weather's climate is different. The lifestyle depends on where you settle down. I choose to settle down in the Philippines. Why I did that? No, in the Gold Coast. Why I did that was because it was not as fast paced and frenetic as in the cities. The Gold Coast has only 600,000 people to date, while during that time, 17 years ago, Brisbane and Sydney and Melbourne, Sydney being the most populated, had 3.5 million, I think, and 3 million in Melbourne and 1.5 million in Brisbane. That's a little bit more now. So it depends on the population you go to, the cities that you go to,
So it depends.
where
It depends
it
on the
it, it,
location.
it depends on the location that you go to. Yeah. So
Now,
the lifestyle here in the Gold Coast is very provincial. So when it was fast and frenetic in the Philippines, right? You know how things are. You live there very very fast, and it's very engaging, and it's always busy, and it's fast paced. Where when we went to the Gold Coast, everything was closed at 5 o'clock in the evening. You know,
all right.
there was no traffic. You had to had a car because in Australia you're legless if you don't have a car. Um, yeah, it was very conservative. Um, there, it's very independent. Unlike the Filipinos, you can go and sit down. It's familiar. It's communal in the Philippines. It's a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah,
family, a lot of
yeah.
friends. So, if you were sad, for instance, in the Philippines, you could just pick up and then go to a friend, to a family. But in Australia, you couldn't do that.
Okay.
We did not know anybody.
All right.
We didn't have relatives and friends. So it was
Okay.
very, very lonely, very, very sad. It was hard. It was really,
Yeah,
really hard and
it's
difficult.
different from the Philippines, right?
Very, very different. The
Very different.
Philippines are it's a happy place all the time. People are engaging. Uh, they're, it's very different, Alan.
All right.
It's
So
very
how about
different.
language wise? Can you say some adaptation you made from when it comes to
Well,
language?
the language was very different. Again, they spoke about earlier about the Australian slang, yeah, the
Yeah.
colloquial language here. Um, so the Australians really speak fast, and they don't speak the English like in the UK or the American English, right?
English.
They, for instance, they say it's a strain. So if you said hello or how are you, you say how are you, mate. That's the way to go, and they're very very fast. So um, it's hard to pick up, and because it's hard to pick up, you're a little bit taken aback. So nagiging ano ka yung mahiyain
Mahiyain. Yeah.
o
But
umiiwas ka.
yeah.
So ang isip mo, paano ano
But
ba
but the
tong
language the language is learnable. Once you got a
Oh,
hold
you
on that.
pick it up. You pick it
Yeah.
up eventually. Like Patrick was saying, you have to have an attitude where you've got to fight back and learn, force yourself, to engage rather than go into a shell and then because nothing will happen to you here if you don't fight back. If you don't decide to learn the culture, learn the language and all the differences because there are many,
And
from food.
speaking of culture, can you say something about Australian culture and compared to the Philippine culture?
The Australian culture, the Philippine culture is very, it's very exciting. It's festive. Marami tayong fiesta. We celebrate many, 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 many things. The Australian culture is very conservative, traditional. It's very quiet. Alvin mentioned the importance of family. That's what it is. In that sense, it's very, very good because you're forced to be with your family 24/7. So you learn more about your wife and your way about your kids, and that's, I think, a very rewarding situation. That um, well, in the Philippines, it's also a family, but it's it's lesser engaging than it is here, because you're forced to be with them,
Right.
and that's a big blessing, I think. Um, so you learn about your wife, you learn about your kids more, and you live for them. Your responsibilities are greater. Uh, you do everything. You do everything yourself. You clean the car. You do the mowing. You take the garbage. You do the cooking, and everything shared. Yeah. You do the laundry. You take out the garbage. So everything domestic is shared by the family. So you get closer to each other. It can get sometimes testy, but for most of the situation, it's very important, and
Yeah.
I think I think very rewarding. You know,
I think that will be
uh,
that will also be an avenue for family banding, doing the household chores.
it's a big family bonding. It's 24/7 family bonding. Um, so yeah, so because it is concentrated that way, a lot of the activities that progresses from there, right?
Right.
That grows from there is still family orientated. So, for instance, when you go out with family always. When you engage yourself with curricular activities, the family is there always. So when you vacation, when you're on vacation, the family is always together.
Yeah.
So it's a really big thing here, the family.
All right. I
Yeah.
think they do it by doing the Barbie.
Yeah, the
Barbie.
Barbie here is a culture in itself, okay?
Yeah.
Barbie and sports.
Yeah.
Most Sundays, most weekends, people would have a Barbie. They have a cold escape put together, which means you have a lot of cold beers. You have good steaks. The produce here is fantastic. The food is really good.
Mhm.
It's very differently. Of course, it's Western food, but you don't have to be a great cook here. You just have to put it on the Barbie, and everything cooks for itself. And but because the food is so of high quality, then it's delicious.
Yeah.
But second
Makes
to
me
that,
hungry.
or yeah, it makes you hungry. But second to that, my wife's a great cook.
Wow.
So she cooks Filipino food,
All right.
and everybody loves that. And the Australians share with it, and they always miss it when my wife cooks, and the friends of my children come. They come along. It's
All
easy
right.
because they just say, my wife's cooking, and everybody's coming, right?
Yeah. Home cooking
Yeah,
is still best.
it's
Now,
yeah.
yeah. Now, setting aside the adaptation, so you did some adaptation to settle blend in Australian society. Now, my question, they say, as a saying that when in Rome, do what the Romans do. So, do you
Hmm.
think that when you are in Australia, do as the Australians do is always a good advice? And why or why not? And have you ever been in the situation where you felt that you had to do as the Australians do?
The I think it's a very good question. That I think yes, if you go into another culture, as Alvin was saying, if you insist on the things that you do know, then you leave yourself out from learning many things going forward. Yeah. Uh, Once you have decided to leave, you understand that you've gone and journeyed to something unknown, and to only find out about the unknown is to engage. And I think the sooner and the faster you learn about the ways, particularly in Australia, because Australia is such a good place to migrate to. There's so many advantages that you can avail of. You know what I mean? Uh, like it was mentioned earlier on by Patrick and Bell, and Alvin and Jennifer. You can take advantage of business. You can take advantage of schools. You can take advantage of job opportunities. You can take advantage of benefits, uh, many kinds of benefits, unemployment benefits, medical benefits. Um, the Medicare system here is bar none one of the best in the world. If you get sick, you get taken care of for free. The school system here, public school system here, or the state school system, as Bell was saying, is exceptionally good. But the private schools are very, very good as well. If you engage, you'll find out that you know how the Filipinos are. They're very hardworking, very intelligent, and very resilient and adaptable. Our kids are exceptionally good, intelligent, educated well because the system there is like Patrick was saying, the system there is more demanding than it is here. Here it's more practical, which is also good. So both systems are good. But when you carry on the system in the Philippines into here, then you'll find your students will excel far better. I think, given that they have the right tools. No, let me tell you, for instance, my daughter from primary all the way to high school and all the way to college was a scholar.
Wow.
Yeah. But I'm
Good.
saying many Filipinos are scholars here. You know,
Mhm.
they're really, really great. But if you don't find about the scholarship, and the scholarship is for the whole primary and for the whole high school, if you get it, and for the whole university, right? And she was in the she was lucky enough to be in a private school. In the private school she was in, debatedly was number one in the state. Yeah.
Wow.
and
Good.
and the university that she was in debatedly is the number one private university in Australia. Uh, I'll give you an estimate. That alone, Alan, that let's say 12 years of schooling would have probably cost easily 500,000, right? Dollars.
Wow.
But she got that for free.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
if you, for instance, that's one of the benefits that you can avail of here. Like in work, for instance, Patrick was mentioning about the superannuation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's what the employee gives the employer gives the employee, which is equivalent to 10% of the salary for their own investment for the future. For the future. So you avail of that when you're 67 years old. You can take advantage of it. There are different separate superannuations that you can get to. So you can make a lot of money doing that for your retirement. What other advantages? Centerlink. If you go into Centerlink, you can get medical benefits. You can also get unemployment benefits. Let's say you're at work and you lost work and then you can't find work, you can go in and get an employment benefit, not the full amount of your salary, but they'll try to find you a job suitable to your qualifications and meanwhile pay you a certain amount so you can live.
All
uh,
right. So that's nice to hear that there are also unemployment benefits in Australia.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There are so
Okay.
many benefits, as I said. So if you engage and find out more of what is Australian, you will benefit from it.
All
You
right.
know,
So
for instance, with
yeah. So for our viewers right now, take note of that. So when you're in Australia, try to make a research of those possible
yeah,
benefit that you can avail of
yeah,
once you got in you got you are in Australia. Now, for
everything. Sorry, Alan. Let me
okay,
just add.
all right.
everything is online. Everything's made
Yeah.
available. Everything is friendly here. Uh, when it comes to work, everything's friendly. It's made easy for one's benefit. So they can enjoy life. You know what I mean?
Yes. And
Which is really
according
good.
to according to Patrick and John before, they mentioned that they are very fortunate because all is already given, no, online, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
online
given.
for the
It wasn't
newcomers
like it wasn't like that
before.
when I first came.
All right.
It was not as big, no. But Australia today is I would say 50%, maybe 60%, maybe more. I'm not certain now, but 60% is done via e-commerce. Everything's online, so
Because of the
it's way ahead
technology.
of many other countries. So it's very
All
simple.
right.
You just got to be accurate and honest with the requirements that they need, and
Yes.
don't be afraid.
All right.
It's a very
So
friendly environment.
yes. So thank you. So again, Australia has several benefits that you need to find out once you are in Australia. Now, I want to ask another question, Raul,
Yeah,
with regards to our Filipino kababayans. Now, what advice can you give to Filipino families who plan to migrate to Australia?
I'd say I know that it's difficult. It's difficult to start and it's difficult to go ahead. Um, I understand how wonderful it is in the Philippines with family, and we've got a lot of things that we'll miss when you leave. But if you're looking for a place, because like me, you couldn't. It's too difficult, and you can't make it in the Philippines. I say, without a doubt, don't even have questions in your heart. My advice from my experience and is it's 100% go. Go and be brave. Do not forget, where you came from. Uh, it's important to have roots and have your culture behind you because that's ultimately your identity. But it's also good to adapt and engage in another environment. And if you were going to another place, I can tell you without a doubt, 100%, go to Australia. It's a beautiful country. It's abundant in resources. It's a friendly nation. It's a high standard of living. You will enjoy your life and you will get ahead in life without a doubt.
All right.
All you need to do is be hardworking
Mhm.
and be true and honest. That goes a really long way. The Australians
All
are
right.
like that.
All right.
Yeah.
So 17 years staying in Australia, we've learned so many good things from your experience, Raul. So for our
Yeah.
kababayan who will be migrating to Australia, you need to be aware of the difference in cultures and norms between Australia and Philippines for
Yeah.
better integration to their society, and also need to maintain our good Filipino values as well. And
Yes.
Raul mentioned that we must have discipline and be hardworking and honest.
I want to
So,
say this, if I may, just add some more.
all right, all right.
Remember this thing. Uh, I remember this, and I remember this quite well. I know for a fact that being a good ambassador to the Philippines, right, and showing them what we can do and being proud of ourselves, while you may not see it yourself, but if you do well, this is a testament of what the Filipinos can do. And because of that, you will be a great, great, great help always to the next migrant that comes.
Yeah,
Because the
that's true.
Australians will welcome the Australian government, I know for a fact, loves the Filipinos because they
Yes,
are
yes.
hardworking, they are happy people, they're nice, they're very religious, and they do a lot of good things, for the community. So
All
be
right.
good, and then we can help a lot more people coming around.
Yeah, yeah. Be a good ambassador of your country. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
So, Raul, here in our Ozapang Pinoy series, we do it differently when you give your final word. or message. So, so we want our guests to we want our guests inspire our viewer in a creative way. So, Raul,
Yes.
what song can you think of that will best describe your migration journey to Australia?
Well, You'll Never Be Alone is a song, that, yeah, that by Post of Grace, that Alan uh, uh, introduced me to. And I think it's a very, very apt and very, very fitting song for the
Right.
experience that I had, coming into Australia.
Yeah. So I will
So,
never walk alone. That's
yeah,
your
you'll never walk
your
alone.
song. So,
Yeah.
is it okay if we can hear a few lines of this?
Ah, I can't sing. I'm sorry. I'm not like, I'm just
All
so
right,
sorry.
all right,
I
all
wish
right.
I
We
could, and I would gladly
Yeah, we
so, but I am
understand.
so.
But I
Yeah.
think I don't know if we have an in-house singer here at CFO.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
hear the song.
Yeah, please.
All right.
It's a beautiful song.
Along life's road, there will be sunshine and rain, roses and thorns, laughter and pain. And cross the miles, you will face mountains so steep, deserts so long, and valleys so deep. Sometimes the journey is gentle, sometimes the cold winds blow. But I want you to remember, I want you to know you will never walk alone. As long as you have faith, Jesus will be right beside you all the way. And you may feel you're far from home, but home is where He is, and He will there down every road. You will never walk alone. Jesus knows your joy, Jesus knows your need. He will go the distance with you faithfully. You will never walk alone. As long as you have faith, Jesus will be right beside you all the way. And you may feel you far from home, but home is where He is, and He'll be there down every road. You will never walk alone. Never walk alone.
Okay.
Beautiful song.
Thank you,
Beautiful song.
Enrico. We
Thank
have a
you,
resident
Enrico.
singer. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
why this song, Raul?
I tell you, as I said, it was very, very difficult earlier on before we decided to come here with my family. My wife and I knelt down in fervent prayers, and we there was nobody else that could help us in our life except the good Lord Jesus, and our prayers were answered even before we came, regardless of how we felt. I had a lot of uncertainties in my thinking, and I was questioning. I had doubt, but I never stopped praying, and we have succeeded only because God was with us all the way, and without the good Lord Jesus, I think it'd be impossible. it'd be impossible, absolutely impossible. So with him, everything's possible. And if you are with him, you know who can be against you. You know what I mean?
All right.
So yeah,
So thank you, Raul, for sharing with us your experience, and we hope to see you again in our show.
yeah. I thank you to the secretary, Mr. Acosta. I think you guys are doing a wonderful job for the Filipino community in Australia. You know, I will pray for you guys, and I'll pray for your success,
All right.
continued success. Yeah.
So thank you, Raul, for your wonderful experience.
On behalf of the CFO, we are very thankful for all our guests today in this Ozapang Pinoy, to the Managing Director of AFCS, Ms. Norminda Forteza, for providing us information of the AFCS services for all arriving migrants to Australia, to Patrick and Bel Serrate for sharing us your first-hand experience as new Filipino migrants and the preparations that are needed, to Alvin and Jennifer Bermejo for sharing us how important God, punctuality in work, and managing money is for adjusting and working in Australia, and to Raul for providing us very, very rich information on adaptation for the Filipino migrant settlement with Australia despite the many differences of Philippines and Australia. So, before we end, as I have mentioned in the very, very beginning of our program, we'll be reading the messages with the hashtags para sa ating mga kababaihan for this March 2021. Let's start off. Simulan ko na, Alan, ano? With
Go ahead.
Erica Aviso. Some deserve to be celebrated, but my mom deserves an entire parade. Thank you so much, Ma, for working so hard to hold down a job and raise us at the same time. We know it was exhausting, but please know that we truly appreciate how much you have always done for our family. Saludo ko kay nanay. Bigyan naman natin yan ng palakpakan or ng confetti.
Okay,
Meron po ba dyan?
Yeah, let me read one. Meron pa yata. Are there any more message? FB message? I think that's the last one.
Thank you,
Is that the last
Erica
one?
Aviso, ha?
Okay,
For-
thank you, Erica.
Ayan,
Okay,
meron pa.
there's one. From Judy Dasal, sabi niya, #saludo ako sa iyo, mama, ng asawa ko. Kahit wala na akong nanay, ikaw ang nagsisilbing ina sa akin at mabait na lola sa anak namin. Mahal po namin kayo. So thank you, Juby. You deserve siguro an emoji. Meron pa tayong emoji dyan? Yan.
Yun.
Alright.
Meron pa ba?
Meron pa ba? Okay.
Check natin. Ayun. Maya Sanchez. Saludo ako kina Janelle and
Ka.
K. For great wives to my nephews there. Brian and Jean, ayun. So proud po si Miss Maya sa inyo. Bigyan naman natin yan ng confetti pa rin para yes, palakpakan. Okay, and then meron pa po ba?
Then, isa pa, basa pa tayo ng isa pang message from our FB viewers. Meron pa ba? Ito, it comes from Denmark Dasal. So, sabi niya, thanks, wifey Judy Dasal. Looking forward on our big move to Australia. Wow! Soon together with baby Clark. #saludo ako sa iyo, wife. Okay, so bigyan natin ng siguro ng confetti si Denmark. And wishing you the best sa Australia.
Ingat po kayo papunta doon.
Yes.
Ayan, meron pa po ba? I think yun na po yung last. Yan. So, this is the end of Usapang Pinoy episode for Australia. So, until the next episode po, please be safe and let us follow the bigger solution in fighting this COVID-19. And most of all, like what Raul has shared to us, let's humbly seek the Lord's help. So again, thank you po for watching Facebook Live of Ozapang Pinoy for Australia-bound migrants. See you again sa next Ozapang Pinoy.
See you again.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye-bye po. Bye-bye.
Bye.